Hello, I'm Rashad Jones, and this is my overview of Project and Portfolio 1's Week 1 Beginnings project. Now, the initial project was to create something using only polygon primitives, such as cubes, spheres, cylinders, things of that sort, which you would think kind of limits a lot of the things you could create, but you'd actually be surprised. If you kind of use the block out method that a lot of artists do, you can pretty much recreate everything. It's actually very easy. And you also had to use GB in this event, which was somewhat difficult. GB just took a little bit to understand, but generic behavior is actually very suitable for this project when using these primitives. It actually becomes very fun. So if we take a look at what I got going on over here. For the buildings and such, I just use the basic cubes and stretch them out a little bit, because that's how most buildings really look. They're not in too much depth. You can make them skyscrapers if you want, but I just chose to keep everything very simple here, enough to give myself enough time to use and get familiar with GB. And I'll switch over to my other scene. This is the first scene. And again, like I said, I just chose just basic objects here. Like I have cylinders, more cubes, if you will, that are just scaled down the size. And I really just thought of what I wanted here and kind of went with it. Like I said, I used the block out method and really just kind of blocked out everything, if you can see. Everything except for the basketball. Now for the basketball, I did use a spear, and it's just more spears. Just scaled down. You can really go to town with that, with the transform over here. And I'll switch over to the other scene. Like I said, you can have so much fun with the different polygon primitives here, And like I said, on the other court, you see that it was more of like a crate hoop. On a telephone pole, and here I just stretched out these polygons, stretched out these cubes to make like a little net, and you can use your materials, if you will, give it a different paint color. It's, it makes everything awesome. And when I was using GB, I didn't really have too much difficulty. I think the hardest thing about GB is understanding actually which events do what. That's what you're mostly going to be playing around with here, like for the hand and for the arm, for the block hand here. To get the motion to start, it took me so long. I think this was probably the hardest part, was to get this motion down and to keep it from bouncing out of the level. So you got to pay attention to the vectors and how much velocity these things are taking in, and you just have a lot of fun with generic behavior. Get creative. Spend a lot of time with it, and it'll turn out very fun. You'll have a very great project. And you guys can do anything you want. I chose basketball because it's very familiar with me. I played a lot of basketball as a child. I still play basketball to this day, waiting for 2K17 to drop. But I love basketball, and I figured it was the best thing to do when following the examples that the instructor gave, like the airplane. Which is, like I said, it's very simple. You see, these buildings aren't too much. Everything's just kind of scaled out. The trees are prefabs, and you can just kind of create prefabs and just drop them into your environment. It makes creating these things so much easier and so much fun. And you can also just use the examples as a reference. What I did for the motion on my ball here. They really show you where and how these events really work with each game object per se. If it's either on the object itself, some of the GB events you can actually do it from different objects, and you can control a different object, and it's very proficient. It works very well. So we'll just go over and check out mine. See here, Project Hoops, no pun. But it's very simple. I chose the first stage to be kind of slow paced to get you used to the game. There's not really much going on here. I have a GB movement in the back for the taxi cab, and a bird. You know, just give it some sort of scenery, like almost like you're in a Brooklyn streets or something like that. There's a billboard up there. I don't know if you guys noticed. It is keeping the score, and that's just another event you can create. Like I said, the certain GB events can actually be triggered from other objects. Like I'm actually controlling the score from neither scoreboard or the basketball. The score is actually being recorded through a trigger. And with all those triggers, you can trigger anything you want. I can trigger ball movement on a key press. I'm actually gonna trigger us to go up to the rooftop. Look at that. And like I said, my second scene is a little more difficult here. There is colliders. The ball is colliding with the hand. You can play around with it. Just have a lot of fun. I actually have it on the timer there, as you can see too. Switches over to the night scene, which was very simple. It's the exact same scene with just lights, and GB allows all of this. So I encourage you guys to have fun out there, as I did. And I'm out.